Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Severed Vlog. I hope you enjoyed last week's episode, and if you did not see it, we talked about fan theories on Irving and Helly, so if you're interested in that, head to my channel. Now, this episode is going to be about more fan theories, but on Ricken, Devon, Milchick, and Cobel, so if you're interested in any of that, keep watching. Okay, we're gonna start off with both Ricken and Devon because they go hand in hand, but there's not a lot on them. So for Ricken, I'm like 98% sure that he is related to Drummond in some way. Crazy, I know. I haven't really seen a lot of people talk about it, only a few. They look way too familiar to not be related, and it would explain some of the things that Ricken is doing. So Ricken is writing books about Lumon or severed people in general, and the one that Severance focuses on is the you are. Now, this is just odd because I feel like he's working for Lumon or with Lumon, or he is like a crazy fan of Lumon. Now, hear me out on this. When the innies accessed the OTC, we know that when they came back, there was this newspaper, but it was fake. And who was mentioned in it? Ricken. And the one book I think was mentioned in it, the one that we did not know the name of, audiobook about the you are. So if he wasn't a part of Lumon or working with them, why would he be mentioned in a fake newspaper that they made about the OTC and like the innies worldwide fame? You know what I mean? Now, when we look at Devon, Devon is like completely normal at first, right? She's supportive of her husband, her brother, everyone. But she goes to the birthing cabins.
Holy shit, by the way, about this cabin. So nice.
Now, the birthing cabins, we know someone severed went there and gave birth, so her innie felt all the pain, but her outie doesn't even remember. And Devon saw her, talk to her, and talk to her after when both of the children were born. But the severed woman had no idea. She had no idea who Devon was, which got Devon to thinking they were Lumon's cabins. Now, if they're Lumon's cabins, how could ordinary people like Devon and Ricken go there? There has to be a tie somewhere. I believe that there is a tie. I think it's Ricken. But later in I think season 2, maybe season 1, Devon starts wearing these turtlenecks, these black turtlenecks, which we know in, you know, shows or movies, people that wear black clothing typically have something to hide or they're just a bad person in general. So I think that is very odd and it kind of ties the whole theory together. But on the other hand, Devon doesn't like Lumon. And when Ricken is writing his book, Devon is like mad about it almost, and they start fighting about it, but they never talk about it in front of Mark. So I think they know other stuff that Mark cannot know, or he will quit, or something. So I think Ricken is definitely working for Lumon. Devon doesn't like it, but wants to be a supportive wife, considering they literally just had a child together. So it's just iffy to me. There's not a lot of evidence on it, but I think it's definitely crazy. Another piece of that is that Ricken changed his name. His name was Rick. We know Mark called him Rick. And then he was like, no, call me Ricken. Why would you change your name unless if it was like a fresh start? And that fresh start was you working for or with Lumon. We know Ricken talks to Natalie. We know all of that. So something is odd. Like something's off. And I seriously think he's working for them or with them. Maybe they're talking because of the books Ricken is writing. And Ricken's kind of trying to set the protesters straight about the severance procedure. I don't know, but it all is just very odd to me. Now, another part of this is Devon actually calls Cobel after finding out that Miss Selvig, who was very close to Devon, and obviously Mark, I mean, we'll touch on that later, but she calls Cobel after knowing that everything was a lie and that she was Cobel and not Selvig. But why would she call if she knew she worked for Lumon? I mean, by this time, obviously, she's not working for them. But I feel like it's a little odd, and you would only call them if you know what is up. So clearly, there's not a lot of evidence to that theory. And I mean, even having both Ricken and Devon but I definitely think that Ricken is related to Drummond. And again, I don't see this a lot, but they look way too similar to not be related in some way. Now, another theory about Ricken, which is so clearly fake, is that he's a goat. There's literally nothing to say about this besides it's widely talked about on the internet. He's obviously not a goat. We have nothing to go off of for that, but it's just funny, and I feel like I had to mention it. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to Milchick, actually. So I love Mr. Milkshake. Love Milkshake to death. He is funny, he keeps his calm, except for sometimes, if you know what I mean.
Devour feculence. It means eat shit, Mr. Drummond.
I've seen a lot of theories about him, but the one that I really want to talk about is that he was raised by Lumon. Now, you might think this is a bit of a reach because he's obviously in his 30s, I think. But look at Miss Wong. She was, 13, 14, and she got an internship with Lumon. Maybe the same thing happened to Milchick. And you're probably going to say, oh, Lumon's only been around for 12 years. No. Remember when Bert said that he's been at Lumon for 20 years? So if it's 20 years, Milchick would have been about around 13, 14, gone and did the internship, and then they literally trained him to be the way he is, and he worked his way up. He's loyal, obviously, but I think he's starting to turn, and I think we're going to find out a lot more in season 3. So if this did happen, his parents obviously put him in Lumon, just like Miss Wong's parents did. And Joe Milchick actually works for like the Paperworks or something, I think. So clearly that's a part of Lumon. They put him in Lumon to be a part of like the Lumon cult, literally cult.
Key, chosen one key.
The next theory is that Milchick is a mole, and kind of a lot goes into this, but the first thing I want to talk about is like he doesn't really punish MDR, but he kind of points them on a different path. So let's talk about the OTC. He did it to Dylan, and then they figured out they could do it.
I've awoken you at home. I need to know where you put it. Where I put what?
They probably knew that there was a chance that they would find out and do it because they were kind of like the rebel department. So he showed that to them, and they did it.
He's alive!
And then another thing to go off of that is they let MDR have a funeral for Irving, even though Miss Wong said it makes them feel like humans. Which I feel like if Cobel was in charge, she would not let that fly. She would be like, he didn't die. His Audi is somewhere. He's obviously not severed, so he's fully aware of what Lumon is doing and probably their end goal as well. And maybe he's not a fan of it, but he knows he has to stay there to help these severed employees or just other people understand what Lumon is and kind of shine light on how bad it is and what they are doing to people. And he does this by, again, pointing MDR in different paths because he probably knows they're a little rebellious and knows they will act on everything. Another part of this theory is actually we're going to pull back and go to Irving. People say that he was on the phone with Milchick, and then he said they're starting to figure it out, and then Irving gets fired. So maybe Milchick was on the other side. He's not severed, so he knew to fire Irving before his plan kind of collapsed. So maybe Milchick is running the show of reintegration. Maybe Ragabi works for Milchick in a way, and they together are trying to overturn Lumon or just kind of shine light on what it actually is. So to end things on Milchick, I kind of just have a theory. I feel like he's trying to turn first of all, but will he actually turn on Lumon? Will he team up with Cobel and other people and kind of start to show his true colors? Or is he going to play it safe? Or is this literally just a theory and we have it completely wrong? So again, we probably will not see until season 3, but I am so excited to see Milchick's future and just how everything unfolds. Okay, now we're going to switch to Cobel, which she has a lot on her, a lot of theories, just basically everything that people could think of. There's a lot. So the first thing I want to say is Mark and her are basically the only people in that neighborhood, which is odd, But what's even more odd is she was literally spying on Mark and had like a fascination for him and was in love with him, even got close to his sister.
We also know that you've been spending time at the home of Mark Scott's sister.
Which is so weird. And again, that was mentioned when she got fired, which brings me to my other point. After she got fired and she was talking to Helly and they wanted to speak to the board, she kind of said she earned everything she got and it wasn't because she was born into it. So I think she may be an Egan. Whether it's Helly's sister, maybe she's Helly's mother. She talked about her late husband with Devon at one point. So maybe, just maybe, she is Helly's mother. And kind of going off of that, when she was talking to Helly again, Helly says, "We didn't have to hire you back," and Cobel said, "You didn't have a choice." So clearly she's like born into it, or, hear me out, she did create the severance procedure. In that boring episode, everyone was talking about how boring it was, but all the books and everything, it kind of seems like she came up with the severance procedure. It was her, and then James Egan stole it from her and didn't give her any recognition at all. This one is kind of unrelated, but she wears a severance chip necklace, which I think could mean two things. One, she made the procedure. Two, she was severed and then they kind of reset her brain. So now she's not severed. So she wears it as like a little remembrance. We honestly, there's nothing to know about that. Like, we know she's not severed. The next thing is that she knew exactly how to get Petey's little chip in his head. She knew where to drill, how to get it out, and everything, which is a bit odd, but I think it's because she actually came up with that procedure herself. I also think if she did create it, it was with good intentions, and then when James Egan stole it, it kind of tumbled into really bad intentions, and they're kind of all their little minions. And she's not happy about that, but she didn't have a choice at first, and then when she got fired, she was mad. And then she answered the phone with Devon and helped Mark, told Mark that the files that he was working on was literally Gemma's brain.
The numbers are your way.
So I think she's had enough, and she kind of realized everything that happened and how she was literally thrown to the side. So she's obviously annoyed and wants to get back at Lumon. We've seen her, start to get fired up and everything.
Fuck her goddamn soul forever into hell! Build that fucking fire until she fucking dies!
So I think if she did create that severance procedure, she's finally kind of retaliating back, and she is going to get what she wants, because we know that she is a very, very strong-minded woman.
If you want a hug, go to hell and find your mother.
Okay, so that is all for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If I missed anything, please let me know, which I know I definitely missed things, but we can keep talking about all the theories that fans have. Now, next week we're going to completely switch it up and jump from fan theories to things that you may have missed in season 1 of Severance. So come back next week if you love the hidden Easter eggs.